Hello everybody, welcome to the very first JavaScript workshop of this year. My name is Bálint Bene, I'm the CEO of Bene Studio, the organizer company behind this workshop series. And this year is the 7th year of this series, and it's one of the most popular cutting-edge workshops in Budapest. So we are really proud of it, and it's all about the community. It's all about you, and I'm really happy that a lot of engineers joined us today, and it will be an exciting workshop. We will build an application within 2 hours, a working application, and this workshop is about knowledge sharing. This is the motto at Bene Studio: we love sharing knowledge. And our speakers are Tamás and Dani, and the organizers behind the event, Vicky, Fatih, and we have communication partners, Budapest JS Group and Dream Jobs. So there are a lot of work behind this event, and let me tell you the story of today's topic. At Bene Studio, we are a consulting company, and we are working with clients mainly from the US, in healthcare and in other industries as well. And Tamás just started to develop one new project, which was a greenfield development. And Tamás faced topic, MongoDB and mobile development and the real-time questions. And Tamás approached Dani to ask some advice, because Dani is working on another project, other mobile project in React Native, and Dani already had experience in that project with MongoDB. And when they started to experiment and to play with this topic, they figured out to put together a working application, a real-time application, and after that we decided to show it to you, to share this experience with all of you as well. And this is what we will do today: build this working application within just 2 hours. And after this hard work, stay, because we will drink some beers, eat some pizzas, discuss about exciting topics, and even we will play with that darts, which you can see there. It's an IoT darts, so really exciting. So let's do the development, and after that let's have some fun as well. Let me give the word to our speakers today, Tamás and Dani.
Hello everyone, welcome to the workshop. Can you hear me at the back as well? Yes, okay, perfect. My name is Tamás Faragó, I'm a software engineer at Bene Studio. Today we are going to work on a Colorset editor application using React Native, MongoDB Atlas, App Services, and Debugging. So let's see how MongoDB will work in our application. Actually, we have a better visualization than this one. I just wanted to show you how good I am with Paint. But let's go to the next slide. So first we store the data in a Realm database on the device. When the user makes a modification with the write transaction, Debugging will see that, and it's going to replicate that operation, which will insert that document into MongoDB Atlas. Then when another user makes modification on the same document, Debugging will see that, and is going to push that modification back to the device. All right, so I hope everyone could pull the repository from Bitbucket. So before I show you how the final application looks like, let's open the project. So let's open it in your code editor. And let's locate the config.example.ts file and just make a copy of it. Okay, and let's rename this new file. Let's call it config.ts. And this is where we will keep our MongoDB configuration. All right, so if you open a new terminal and type in git branch, you will see that we have 6 different branches. Each different branch is connected to a specific section. So when we finish one section, we are going to change branches so you can catch up. Also, if you feel left behind, feel free to raise your hands and we can help you. It's not a problem. All right, let's build our application. If you want to run the application on iOS, you can use Xcode for that. Or if you want to run the Android version, you can use the Android Studio. I'm just going to run the iOS app. And I'm going to build it from the main branch. All right. So when the application loads, you will see that you have 2 options here. You can either log in with your existing username or you can register with a new user. As you can see, for this version, we are only using username to make the authentication easier. So let's create a new account by clicking on register. Okay, I already have an account with this one. Could you open the application?
Raise your hand if you have successfully built the app.
Yeah, we can wait a few minutes until you.
Okay, then let's wait.
Perfect.
So they didn't get the email with the repo. Can we send them, or do you have a link or something?
Bitbucket.
Or we just want to send it over right now?
It should be inside the Google Calendar event.
Yeah, I know.
Don't forget to install the npm packages, and if you want to run the iOS project, you also have to install the pods in the iOS folder. Do you need help with that?
With what exactly?
With installing the pods.
Yes, yes, but for me, I don't have even Android Studio.
Okay.
Probably, in my case, I will not be able to because it's.
Okay, no, not a problem.
It's not a problem at all.
You can start downloading the Android Studio, and maybe later you can run the application.
It's not a problem at all.
Yes.
Question on how to install
The pods?
Yeah, the pods.
Yeah, you have to go into the iOS directory and just type in pod install.
Csináltad. Okay. Csináltad.
So if you're not familiar with this, what you have to do is to go to the iOS folder and just type in pod install. Do you need some more time?
Let's do a ready check. Who is ready?
Who's ready?
Let's wait a bit.
Yeah, let's wait a little bit more.
In the meanwhile, you can try do it in Android Studio.
I don't want to.
And if you somehow couldn't do the build, then it's not a big problem because most of the coding will happen online on the MongoDB Atlas. Only just a small portion will be in the React Native itself. So it's not a big deal if you can't build the app.
Didn't hear very well where in which directory you should start what?
So you have to go into the iOS directory. iOS.
And you are now in code Visual Code, yeah?
Yeah, Visual. I'm using Visual Code, yeah.
Okay, because I preferred the Android Studio and
Yeah.
it was okay. And then what in iOS?
Do you want to run the iOS project or the Android?
Android.
So if you're running the Android project, you don't have to install the pods. You can do that without installing them. You just need that for the iOS project.
NPR on Android. NPR on Android. Ezt ki tudják, mondhatod, hogy NPR on Android-dal.
Hogy azzal tudja futtatni.
Azzal tudják esetleg elvileg.
Yeah.
Ezt mondhatod.
Or you can run the Android version by typing npm run Android.
Which fails. The npm install you must do it first.
Yeah, you must install the packages.
And then npm and run Android.
Yes.
Exactly.
How do you start this?
It will start an emulator of Android automatically.
All right. So when you open the application, you will see the home screen. So let's register with a new profile. Let's create a new one.
Tamás.
I'm going to have a username of Tamás. And now we are logged into the application. As you can see, we also have two options here. We can later see the color sets that are created by our profile. Or if you click on shared, you will see the color sets that are shared with this profile. And currently we don't have any color sets, so let's add one. You can click on the plus button on the header. And let's give a name to our color set. I'm going to call it new. And as you can see, a new color set was created, and it generated a totally random color. So let's click on it, and you will see the editor view, where you can add up to 5 colors, and it's going to generate a totally random color. Or if you don't like one color, you can just remove it. Of course, you also can edit the colors. You can edit the red, the green, and the blue shades. Or if you want to use the color somewhere else, if you click on the hex value, the value is going to be copied to the clipboard. So let's go back and just long tap this color set. You will see that a bottom sheet appears, where you have two options. You can either click on share, or you can delete the color set. So let's see how the sharing works. Let's click on it. And here you can search for a username. I know that there is a user with new. Which new? Yeah. And as you can see, a list of usernames appeared. And if you click on one of them, you will see an indicator that the sharing was successful. So let's go back and log out from the app and log into that user I shared the color set with. And click on shared. As you can see, I created this color set and the sharing was successful. I can view the colors, but I cannot edit the colors with this user. All right. Could you run the application? Who couldn't run the application? All right.
Keep trying.
Don't give up.
I lost the part because I deal with this other thing, so I don't know what to do, how to run the application.
Segít?
Nem biztos, hogy sikerül.
Yeah, Android Studio is a bit slow.
I wasn't don't know the command.
npm run Android.
That's what I did, but I don't know.
Did you open the application in Android Studio?
No, I have Visual Studio.
You can go on, Tamás.
All right, the first thing we have to do is to set up our MongoDB profile. But before that, let's change our branch to step 3. So let's check out to step 3. All right. Now, what we have to do is to go to cloud.mongodb.com and just log into your account. And if you logged into your account, let's create a new project. Click on New Project. And let's give a name to our new project. I'm going to call it Colorset Editor. All right, this is already taken. This one is already taken as well. Editor. Okay, if we have it, click on Next. And on this page, you can add members to your project, but this time I'm going to skip this. So let's create a project. All right, now our project was created. Do you need some time to catch up?
Okay, thanks.
Who needs some time to catch up?
Can you have the Ruby version and the Ruby version?
I think you will need Ruby version to run the React Native app. Not sure which version, but you will find it on the React Native environment setup.
Yeah, if you use bundle init or something in the repository, then it will install it. Can you check the VS Code? Bundle init. Maybe that's the. I'm not sure. Then install bundle install. Yeah. Yeah, that should install the Ruby, I think. If you miss that.
Yeah, so to install everything, you have to run the bundle install command. And hopefully everything is going to be fine after that. Kikapcsol a végzét. Mi ezért? Okay, after we created our project, we have to build a database. So let's click on Build a Database. And here, let's select the third option, the free option. Just scroll down a little bit. And for region, let's select the Central European region, which is going to be Frankfurt. Then let's give a name to our cluster. I'm going to call it Colorset Editor. Then click on Create. All right, now we have to give a username and a password to our database. I'm going to call it Workshop, and my password is also going to be Workshop. And if you have it, click on Create User. Right, we can scroll down. And to the IP address section, I recommend typing in 0.0.0.0/0, so you will be able to connect to your database anywhere. If you have that, click on Add Entry. Okay, we can finish and close this. Go to database. All right. I hope everyone downloaded MongoDB Compass. We are going to connect our database to that. So let's click on Connect. And click on the third option, Connect with MongoDB Compass. Connect using MongoDB Compass. And if you haven't downloaded it yet, you can select your operation system, then click on Download Compass. But I think I already have it. So what we need to do is to click on the copy connection string. So let's go to MongoDB Compass. Just going to open it again. MongoDB Compass is very useful to visualize the database data easier. Okay, we have to replace this string and paste our connection string here. And don't forget to replace the password with our actual password. Mine was workshop. If you have it, we can click on Connect.
Can you click view and zoom in a bit? View, zoom in. Yeah, one more. Cool.
Okay, once we are connected to MongoDB Compass, let's create a database here as well. So click on the plus button and let's give a name to our database. I'm going to call it Colorset Editor again. And így kezdtem én, mert foglalt volt. And for collection name, let's type users. If you have it, click on Create Database. All right, and if you open your database, you will see that we now have a users collection, which is now empty. We will populate this during the registration. All right, so let's start working on the registration functionality. So we can close everything. No, there's one thing we have to set up. We have to set up our App Services profile or a project. So click on App Services. And select Build Your Own App. And if you have it selected, click on Next. Okay, let's name our application once more. Let's call it Colorset Editor. Then click on Save. Okay, then click on Create App Service. We can close this. Okay, could you guys follow it? Everyone could set up the app services. Who needs some time to catch up?
My internet's a bit slow.
All right, not a problem. authentication ilyen app-ID-t. Azt majd a HTTP endpointnál. Do you need some more time? Okay. All right, let's start working on the authentication functionality and the registration functionality. So the first thing we have to do here is to locate authentication on the sidebar. It's going to be in the data access section, so let's click on it. And here we have to select the last option, the custom function authentication. We can turn the provider enabled on. And here at the select function, drop down, click on new function. And we are going to create here an authentication function, which is going to be triggered when the user authenticates. So here in the editor, we can delete this one. And this is going to be an async function. And first we need to access our users collection. So we can type const users collection equals context. Context here is a MongoDB object that contains all our app services configuration. So let's continue services.services. .get, and we are going to get it from MongoDB Atlas. .db, and here we have to type our database's name. So I called it Colorset editor. Right, and we need the collection, and I'm going to get the data from our users collection. So next, I have to get the username the user is trying to authenticate with from the payload. So let's declare our username. And it's coming from the login payload. Next, we have to check if we find a record with the username the user is trying to register it with or authenticate with in the user's collection. So let's type const user equals await users collection dot find one, and we are going to pass the username. And if there's a user in our users collection, we are going to return their user ID. So return user dot underscore.
Tamás, you should add users in the 16th row because it's just user collection. And in the 18th you write users. So
Here? Yeah, you're right. You mean here in the 18th row?
Either the one of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. User collection. It's a typo. Yeah. So we will return the user's ID. And we need to send it back in a string format. And if there's no user with that user ID, we are just going to throw an error and say that user not found. Do you guys need some more time to copy? All right, so if you have it, do you have it, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if you have it, we can save the draft. Click on next, got it. And don't forget to click on review draft and deploy in the blue box at the top. Got it. And deploy. All right, the deploying was successful. So now we have the authentication function. We also need to be able to register into the app. And for that, we are going to create an HTTPS endpoint. So under the build section on the side bar, click on HTTPS endpoints. Then click on add an endpoint. And we are going to call this endpoint register user. All right, here you will see the endpoint. Let's copy this URL. And let's go back to our project file, to the code editor. And if you created a Central European region, you don't have to touch the app service endpoint base URL. You just have to modify the app service app ID. And that part will be after app /, so this part. And just modify the value. So this will be the app service app ID. Okay, don't forget to hit save. Okay, we can go back to the MongoDB website. And let's continue creating our endpoint. This is going to be a post request. We can turn on respond with result. And here at the select function dropdown, just select new function again. And let's call it register user. And again, this will be the function that's going to run when the user is trying to register into the app. So we can delete everything which is now in the function. And this is also going to be an async function. The first thing we have to do here is to parse the username from the body. So let's declare the username. Username equals json.parse, and inside that we are going to type body.text. And this will be the username the user is trying to register with. After that, let's get our users collection again. So let's declare our users collection, which is equals context dot services dot get MongoDB atlas dot db. Let's write our database name again. Mine was Colorset editor. And we need the users collection. So let's type collection, and inside that, users. All right, after that, let's count how many records are there with the username we are trying to register with. So let's type const total doc equals await users collection dot count, and let's pass the username inside that. And if there's already a user with that username, so if total doc equals 1, we are going to set the status code to 400. So response.set status code 400. Otherwise, we are going to create that user. So else await users collection dot insert one, and let's pass the username. So it's going to create a record with the username we are trying to register with. And let's return it with a state of code of 201. I missed that again, yeah. Thank you. All right, if you have it, we can save our function. So let's scroll down and save draft. And click on review draft and deploy in the blue box. Okay. There's one thing we have to do with this function. So click on functions in the sidebar under build section and select our new function, which was register user. And here click on settings, and we have to turn the authentication settings to system. So this will execute the function with full privileges. And if we have it, we can save the draft and deploy again. All right, we can go back to our code editor. And let's search for the to-do. I'm not sure where to find it. So yeah, it's in login.tsx file. You can find it in the screens folder. Inside that there will be a login folder. And inside that there will be this login.tsx. And here we will write our handle submit function. Yeah, we will write our handle submit function, which will connect our new endpoint with the React Native application. Could you follow it? Yes.
Can we see the MongoDB function again?
Of course.
Last one.
The register user.
Once again what we have to do after deploying this register user function.
So we have to go to settings and click on system. You mean this?
Yeah, thanks. That's it.
Yes?
HTTP code, I think it's 404, not previous page, there was a function parsing the user.
You mean here?
Yeah. No?
Set status code?
No, it's 400 because
Because
it
it-
means the user exists, so you can't register a new one with the same username.
Ah,
So that's
Yeah.
why we just return 400, yeah.
Okay, we can go back to our code and let's start creating our handle submit function. So let's delete this. The first thing we have to do is to create a try catch block. So type try catch. Okay. And what we are going to do here is that if the user is trying to register, so if is register, we are going to send a post request to our new endpoint. So it's going to be await axios.post. Let's write a template literal. And we have to include the app service endpoint base URL, which is coming from the config file. Let's import it from there. And after that, we are going to type /app/ here we need the app service app ID, which is also coming from the config file. /endpoint /register user.
It's the same as what we created in the HTTPS endpoints. So
Yeah,
actually,
the same URL.
yeah, this will be the same. If you would copy, then you would get the same.
Okay, under that, yeah. And for the parameter, we have to include the username the user is trying to register with. Okay, after that, we need to create the Realm credentials, which is going to be used while authenticating. So let's declare our credentials, which is equals realm.credentials with a capital C dot function, and let's pass the username to this. And after that, let's call app.login function. Login. And let's pass our credentials to it. So this app.login function is coming from the Realm provider, which is a MongoDB function. And this will handle our authentication. Right, and inside the catch block, if something wrong happened, we are just going to show an authentication error message. Set auth error, and we are going to set this true. Then if you have it, click on save. All right, once we have it, we can try our registration. Hopefully it's going to work. So let's create a new user. I'm going to register with Tamás1. Click on register. Okay, it looks like our registration is working, and our authentication as well. So this is the end of this section. Do you need help with this function, or do you need help to catch up? Do you need some time? No? All right. Then I pass the mic to Dani.
Okay. Let me change the keyboard. So now, to close this, let's check our database if we have that user Tamás just created. So if you are here in the Compass, MongoDB Compass, if you click Find, then you should see that username Tamás 1. So this is how you can check if the registration was successful. And also actually if you, on the left, if you go to, this is the MongoDB Realm App Service. If on the left you open the logs, then you should see here this authentication login custom function that it's called. And also before that happened the register user. So you can monitor what happened. And if, of course, if you have error, maybe we will have some errors, then you can also find them there. Okay, let's check the app now. We will need another branch, so let's check what we changed. Now we only have changes in the login.tsx. Let's remove that. To do that, you can use this git checkout dot. This will just remove everything because we will move to a new branch and it's already done there. So git checkout dot, enter. As you see, it's removed. And let's open this panel and you can check out the step 4. So please check out to step 4. And I think if I refresh, never mind, we will see that error. So if I search now for to do, then you can see that the task is to add the missing schema. So to do that, let's create a new folder here called schemas. So in the SRC folder, let's create a new folder called schemas. And inside that, let's create an index.ts and also colorsets.ts. And first, let's write this colorsets.ts. We can write export const colorset schema equals, and it will be an object. So this is the schema of the Colorsets collection. And to declare it, we need 3 things. The name of the collection, which will be Colorsets. We need the properties, which will be an object. We will populate it soon. And the last thing is the primary key, which usually the database collections or tables have, which is most usually is the ID. So it will be underscore ID. In MongoDB, we usually have this ID as underscore ID, and it's a special kind of string with hexadecimal string and actually it's 24 character length. And this is a kind of an object type, so it's not a string itself, but it's a special class. And then in the properties, we have the ID, which is this special object ID. And we have another few properties, like we have a name. This will be the name of the color set. So this will be a string. And other than that, we have the colors, which will be the colors which is in the color set. and this will be an array of numbers, so I can write int and the array brackets. We are storing the colors like there can be 1, 3, or 6, and so on colors, and they are grouped by 3. So the first, second, and the third will be one color, RGB, and the next one is another color, and so on. So we made it simply like that. So those are the colors, and we have two more, which is the access of these color sets. One is the owner ID, which is a string. This means that this describes who can access this color set. So this is the user himself who is creating the color set. And the other one is the viewers, because as you saw, we could share the color sets with other users. So this will be an array of strings. So this is the user IDs who we can share with the color set. So this is about this file. We have the name, colors, owner ID, viewers, and of course the ID, which is the primary key. Now let's open that index.ts. I will keep it open on the left if you haven't finished yet. In that index.ts, we can just export all. To export all, we can just use this export asterisk from color sets. Cool. Now, if we go back to the Realm provider, let's just remove that to-do and solve the mystery. We have to use the color set schema here. And then, as you can see, it automatically imports it. And if I restart my app now, it should already, you can already see some changes, and it's visible now. And actually, if you try to add something now, so if I click and I add my color set, then it should add the color. And surprise, surprise, it's again a purple color, which you can open and edit. How it works now, it's only locally now, so it's not up there in the cloud yet. So that will be our next step. So for now, let's just do this color set like that. And then the next part is the how we connect to the app services up there. In this Realm provider, if you scroll down a little bit, after the loader, you can see the Realm providers. Usually, if you check the docs, you can see that it can be enough to just have the Realm provider, but then you may have to deal with the user. You have to log it in and then pass it to this Realm provider, which is not that easy. What is easier is to have these three levels of providers. We have the app provider, which provides the ID of the app. So as you can see here, the app service app ID. We just give it to that. And the other one is the user provider. As you can see here is this fallback. It means that there is a login component which is passed to this callback. So until you are not logged in, then until that this login component will be shown, which Tamás was working on. And once the user is logged in, then this fallback will disappear and it will render what's inside. And inside we have this Realm provider, and of course also while it's loading we show a loader, and then we just have the children, which is the app itself, the dashboard. So to make it work with sync, you have to add a new line after the fallback and enter sync, which will be an object, and then enter flexible true. And then as you can see, our app starting to just loading. This means that it's trying to get the data from the MongoDB app service, but we haven't set up the device sync yet. So let's go back to the MongoDB Atlas and enable the device sync. So on the left, you can see under the build and device sync. Let's go open the device sync, and as you can see, it's not enabled yet. So click start syncing, and it say that we don't have schema yet. This is not problem. Just click no thanks, continue to sync. We will do that later. Now the flexible is selected, which is the recommended way. We tried the partition based, but I think it's the flexible is better. So as you can see here, we set it to flexible. Please turn on the development mode. It will help us to that the schema that we wrote in the app will be just automatically moved to the Atlas app service. And also you won't have to always click review and deploy. It will just deploy it automatically while this development mode is on. Of course, when you go to production, you have to turn the development mode off. Now we have our cluster here, which is our only cluster, so this is okay. And here is the database. You have to select which database of that cluster we use, which is the Colorset editor. And here are the configure query fields, which is marked as optional, but we will need those to just only enable to sync those color sets which are the user can. So it's either an owner of the color set or viewer of the color set. So please type here owner ID, then enter, and then also the viewers, and enter. And now we have to define the rules soon. Actually, they just changed it like two days before, so we have to check how to do it now. But please click now the enable sync, and we will see how to do it, the rules, because now currently everyone can access everything. Yeah, and actually here in this role, at the default role from preset, you can select now user can read and write all data and add the default role, and we will edit it in a second. So you can once more, I think this is the last time we can click on that. Deployment draft and review it, and you can click deploy, and it will deploy our changes. The deployment was successful, nice. And now here a new section appeared, this rules and permissions. If you click on navigate to your clusters rule page, then let's click that. You can just close that actually. And here you can see here is our database, and here is the users collection. If you click on default roles and filters, then you can see the roles there, and you can click edit role. And actually read and write, yeah, we can just delete the end, but it's up to you. So because we will change the role a little bit. So if you scroll down and the document permissions, you can see that there is a read and write, which is set to true for all. It means that every user can read and write. Now let's change that. So let's make an object here, And for the read access, actually let's start with the write. I think it's easier. So you open an object, and what has to be done is you enter owner ID equals now percentage user that ID. So that means that when you sync, it will check if the owner ID of that user's collection is equal to user.id or not. And about the read, here we have to have an OR operator, which will be an array, because if you want to read, you can read if you are an owner or if you are a viewer. So you have to be in the viewer's array, string array. So here we have two objects. One is with the owner ID, it will be the same like here. So owner ID is percentage user.id, and I think I don't need that. And let's just copy that. And the other one will be viewers. And it's again user.id. It will check if in the viewers array there exists this user ID or not. So that's that's the extra step we have to do to enable the authorization correctly and access of those color sets. And then you can click save as draft, and it is now saved. Okay, now let's check what we can see in our app now. So please go back to the code editor and also here in the simulator. Let's try to add the new color set, my color set. And we have an error. Yeah, actually I think I will have to check out another branch to the step 6. So please again just check your code, and if you just git checkout dot, then actually the newly created files will be still there. So either delete the schemas, or you can git add, then git stash, and it will just remove those files which are added. And then let's check out to step 6. And I can even restart the app. Now let's try to add the new color set. My color set add, and it's not appearing yet. Let's try to do it again. Somehow it's not yet appearing. Do you have a suggestion? Maybe we have to check the schema, right? So let's open here the schema, and yeah, if you open the color sets here, so in the data access there is the schema, and here for the color sets it says that we have this collection. In the required we have ID, name, owner ID. This is good. Basically what happened is that what we defined here in the schemas color set, this is just copied here to the schemas on this page. So we have here the ID, name, colors, owner ID, and viewers, and actually this is correct. Let's try to go to the MongoDB Compass and add the new collection. So maybe that will fix our issue. So create a new collection, and you can enter color sets. and then create collection. Actually, it's already exists. Okay, then you have to reload the data. Yeah, okay, it's already there. And actually, it looks like that color sets are there. Okay, then I think I missed something. So yeah, we are on step 6. Let's search for to-dos. And yeah, there is something we still have to do. So please, if we are already on step 6, search for to-do, and there is this color list file. And here, this is the full list of the colors, color sets which should appear here. So this is now just an empty array. Let's edit it. And for that, as you can see, the unused variables, we have to use this use query. And we have to pass the name of the schema, which is Colorset. And then voila, it's already appearing. If you check the file, there are a few errors, because if you check it, it just says that it's realm.results, Realm object. We have to declare the exact type of that schema, which is iColorset, and then save it. And then the errors have gone, and we can see everything. And actually, you can add a new one. Third, autocorrect Colorset. Okay, and it's appearing nice. Yeah, and if you go back now to MongoDB Compass and do a refresh, so fine, then you can see that it's automatically transferred here. So it's synced, and it's visible in the MongoDB database. Cool. One last thing to mention, that in this file you can see this use effect, and here is this Realm.subscriptions update, and it's adding this Realm.objects to the subscriptions. Sometimes you may get an error, especially if you add or remove something from the database, that there is not, especially if you are in this flexible synchronization, that there is no active subscription yet. So you may have to do this to make that error go away, and then you can edit, add, or delete the color set. Okay, cool. I think that's about the first part. We will now make a short break, a 10-minute break, and then we will continue.
All right, let's continue the workshop. Before we do anything, let's change our branches to step 7, I think. So let's open a new terminal and check out.
Let's do this. Let's check.
And let's change to step 7. Okay. So if you open the app now, there is a similar later. Okay, let's build the app again. Jó, te R. Okay, now if we are trying to add a new color set, let's try to add one. We won't be able to. So let's start working on the add functionality. So the first thing we have to do is to search for to do. And let's select the add color set function, which will be the handle add color set. You will find this in the add color popup.tsx file. Let's delete this. And the first thing we have to do here is to create a new Realm object ID. So let's declare an ID. And which is going to be a new realm.bason.object ID. After that, let's declare an owner ID, which will be the user's ID. Okay, when we have it, let's create a write transaction. So let's type realm.write. And inside the callback, let's type realm.create. And to the first parameter, we are going to type the collection's name. So this is going to be Colorsets. And to the second parameter, we are going to construct our new Colorset object. And it's going to have an ID. It will have a name, which will be Colorset name. It's going to have an owner ID. Also a colors property, which will be random. We will use random colors to populate this, and for that we will be using the generate random color function. And what this function does is that it generates 3 random colors between 0 and 255, and it returns them in an array. After that, the last one is going to be the viewers array. It's going to be an empty array for now. Then press save. Okay, let's try if that works. So let's try to create a new color set. Okay, it looks like it works. Okay, the other thing we have to do here is to work on the deleting functionality, because as you see, if we click on delete item, we won't be able to delete this color set. What's happening?
Some magic.
All right, so let's click on the delete item function. It is called handle delete item. You can find it in the color list.tsx file. And the first thing we have to do here is to find the item we would like to delete. So let's declare the item to delete. This equals, we have to find that item in the filtered list. And we are going to return the item where the item's ID equals the deleting item's ID.
Don't find.
Oh, and I forgot to type .find here. Okay, if we found an item to delete, we are going to create a realm.write block. And inside that, we are going to type realm.delete, and we are going to pass the deleting item ID. And save the file.
Are you sure? Item to delete. But let's try.
Let's try this.
I'm intrigued.
Okay, it crashed.
Error.
Not a problem. So
We have to delete the item to delete. So not the deleting item ID.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to pass the item to delete, not the ID.
That we found, yeah.
Yeah. All right. It looks like it's working now.
Cool.
Okay, raise your hands if you need some time catching up with this function. No one. All right. Let's change our branches to step 8. This is going to be the last branch. Okay, if you changed the branches, and if you click on a color set, you will see that now we are only seeing a blank white screen, which is not great. So let's search for the to-do again, and we will find a to-do in the color set viewer file. And we can just delete this whole line. So what we need to do here is to get our proper color set, and we are going to use the use object hook for this, which is coming from the Realm provider. And it's going to have a type of iColorset. And to the first parameter, we are going to pass the collection's name, which will be Colorsets. And to the second parameter, we need to translate the ID we are passing to this screen into a Realm object ID. So let's type new realm.bson.object ID, and let's pass the ID to it. Now let's check if it worked. Yeah, it looks like it's working. Okay, I would also like to show you the color editing function. It's a very simple function. If you scroll down, you will find the handle color value change function. And basically what's happening here is that first we are spreading all the color values the color set has. Then we are finding the index of the value we would like to change. Then we are just overwriting that value with a new one. Okay. Now let's start working on the sharing functionality. If you open MongoDB Compass, you will see that now a user only has an ID and a username. But we will also need an app service user ID. And the reason we need that is when we share the color set with another user, we are going to push the other user's app service user ID into the color set viewers array. And we are going to get the app service user ID by writing an authentication trigger, which is going to be triggered when the user registers into the application. So let's go back to the MongoDB website and click on triggers on the sidebar under the build section. And let's click on add a trigger. Right. For the trigger type, let's select authentication, and let's name the trigger. Let's call it registration user ID sync. To the action type, let's select create, and the provider will be custom function authentication. At the select function dropdown, let's select new function. And let's call this function I'm just going to copy this. So it's always also going to be registration user ID sync. We can delete everything from this function. Okay, this is going to be an async function. And first, let's get the user from the auth event. So let's declare the user, which equals auth event dot user. And after that, we need to get the user's identity, and that's where we will find the app service user ID. So let's declare the identity. And it's going to be user.identities.find, and we will return if the provider type equals custom function. Okay, after that, let's get our users collection. Equals context dot services dot get MongoDB Atlas dot DB. This will be our database name. Colorset editor. And we need the users collection. Okay, let's create the user ID, and we will going to translate the identity ID into a new Realm object ID. So let's declare our user ID. It should be a new bson.object ID with a capital O. And let's pass the identity ID. Identity.id. Okay, after that we need to find if there's a record with this ID in the users collection. So let's declare the document, and let's type await users collection dot find one, and where the ID is the user ID. And if we found a document, then we are just going to assign the app service user ID to the user. So let's type await users collection dot update one. Okay, where let's pass the user ID, and to the second parameter we are going to type $set app service user ID, which is going to be the user.id. Okay, we can click on save. All right, let's see if it works now. So let's create a new user. Let's go back.
Delete the old ones first.
All right, first we can delete our existing users. So let's go to MongoDB Compass. and click on delete. And we also need to delete the users from the app users under data access section. And delete user. Okay, let's go back to our application and let's try to register with a new user. Okay, let's see if it worked. Let's go back to MongoDB Compass and refresh the data. It didn't work. So there's something wrong with our custom function. We can debug this by going to the logs. And you will find that there will be an error here. And it says that I have a type error in my function. So we can go back to our custom function and just select registration user ID sync. And let's look for that type error.
I know where it is.
So
Yes.
this is not provider.type, this is provider_type. Let's see if we have more type errors.
I hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not. Okay, let's try now.
Save it.
Let's go back to our app.
Let's delete the users.
Let's
again.
delete the users again, or the user. User. And let's register again. Okay, now it's working. And as you can see, now the user has an app service user ID, which is awesome.
Cool, we switch machines. And now we just have a few steps left, especially with the sharing, since we now have the app service user ID, so we can do some sharing. So actually we can just stay on this branch, and I don't think we will do any more coding in the Visual Studio Code. Let's just check what happens if I create a new Colorset. And since we just have one user, let's log out and create another user. So we have currently Tamás, right? Yeah. Then I will create another one, Dani, default. And since I'm trying to log in, it won't work. Let's do registration. And I mean, okay. Now I will create another Colorset here, my Colorset. And let's try to share this. Now you get an error, and then when I'm trying to search for Tamás, I also get another error. That's because if we check this Colorset view, I think, let me see where it is, color list, context menu, no, share item dialog, I think it will be there. As you can see, it's using an endpoint to get those things, like this is there's a huge endpoint, and also I think there is another one somewhere else. So we have to write those endpoints first, so please go back to the browser and go to HTTPS endpoints. And the first one to implement is the search usernames. So as you see, we already have an endpoint called register user. Let's add the new endpoint, and we will name it, let me just change my keyboard. It will be search usernames. It is enabled. Here is the endpoint. If you can't use the app, then you can just copy this and try it in Postman. So you can try how it works, and it should return something. It will be a GET request, response with the result, and we will write a new function. And again, I can just copy this name, search usernames, and let's write the function, shall we? So I will just delete all this, and I keep the query destructuring, because we need, since it's a search, we will pass a search from the React Native app. So that will be like Tamás as a search term. Then let's check if the search exists. So if the search not exists, or the search.length is smaller than 2, then we just return an empty array. So if the search at least should be 2 characters, then we can search. Then let's find the username. So I just write const res equals await. Yeah, and again, this is an async function, so please put it there before the function. Await, and we have to find DB collection and so on. So context.services that get MongoDB Atlas .db, and here we need our color set, the DB name, which is Colorset editor, and then inside that we have our collection, which is the user's collection. And I will go on here in a new line. We can use the find method, and we are gonna, since we are going to do a search, we inside the usernames we have to find those with the username. And actually I could just write search, but then only those with the exact matching would be found. So what we need is to create a regex, and to do that, let's create an object here, and this object needs a regex key, and to that we can pass the search term, and then we need an options, and this will be I, so this stands for in case sensitive, and this should fetch our users. And then let's limit this to 4, so the maximum we can display in the current UI implementation is 4 users, so let's limit to 4, and let's turn it into array. And then we can just return the response of that query, and let's hope that it will work. So you can save it here. And again, you have to make changes in the function settings. So let's go to the functions in the build, and then you can see it's here now, the search usernames. And again, go to settings and change it to system. So it will be full privilege this user. So in the functions, you select this search usernames, settings, and then the system. Now let's check if it's working or not. So if I go back to the app and click enter, here is Tamás. So I can try to share with him now. As you can see, it's selected and it's fine. Now let's restart the app and check what you can see now in the share model. So I open it, and you can see that there is this number now here. This is the ID of the user, I think, or part of the ID. This is appearing because we just fetch the viewers array, which is the user IDs. And we need to fetch the names of the users, so the usernames, with an endpoint, because we are only syncing the color sets, not the users, because if you have credentials, then it would be a security risk. So that's why we have to create another endpoint. So please go again to HTTPS endpoints, and this will be our last function today, which we will write. Add an endpoint, and it will be get usernames. You can copy it, we will need it in the function name. Let's scroll down, and it will be, as the name suggests, it will be a get request. Let's respond with results. It will be JSON. And let's select a new function in the function drop down. And let's name it get usernames. And in the function, again, let's just delete most of it. And from the query, let's use the Colorset ID. That's what we pass in the query. So we are here we are trying to get the usernames which are shared with the users who are shared with this Colorset. So we need that Colorset ID. And then let's have our database. We will need both the users collection and the Colorsets collection. So first let's the DB. It will be context.services.get MongoDB Atlas .db, and this is Colorset editor. So from the context services, we get the MongoDB Atlas, and in the DB's name is Colorset editor. Then we need the two collections. One is the users. I will just name it like that. Users is db.collection users, and the other one is Colorset. So Colorsets. So const Colorsets equal db.collection Colorsets. And then let's find that Colorset. So const Colorset equals, and again it will be an async function, so please change it. And then we can say await. In the color sets, we are gonna find one color set which we need. And we can search for ID. Of course, if I could say that ID and then color set ID, but as you know, this color set ID is a string which is coming from the query, but here for ID we need this object ID. So again, we need to transform this. So new bson.object ID color set ID, and this will make an object ID of the string ID. Then, if the color set is somehow not exists, or there are no viewers in the color set, so color set.viewers doesn't exist, then we just return an empty array. So if there is no color set or there are no viewers, then we just return an empty array. Then let's find the users which we are to return. So const users equal await users.find. And here comes the app service ID. So as you can see, Tamás has now, and let's hope the other user, the other user as well has this app service user ID. So that's what we have to check. So the app service user ID has to be inside the viewers array. So we have to use this in since it's an array, we are passing an array that, let's find any user whose app service user ID is in that array. We will receive an array of strings. So we can use this in operator, and then let's pass Colorset.viewers, which is the array of user IDs in string format. And again, let's it's the same statement. Let's limit it to 4, only 4 users, and let's convert it to array. Unfortunately, this app service functions need this to transfer them to arrays. And then let's just return the users. Good. Let's save this function. And again, we have to go to the functions, find that get user names, go to settings, and change it to system authentication. And once it's saved, then we can check if it's working or not. So let's restart the app and open the sharing, and you can see now the username there, so it's getting the correct list. We can check if you wish. In the manage we have these logs, and as you can see the get usernames was just called, and you can find everything there about this. And of course if there is an error, then you can also find it there. Now that was our last task, and before that I would like to show you one more thing. When this user is selected that we want to share with, let me just make it a little bigger. Yeah, we won't need the simulator anymore. So here's the search API, and this is the function I wish to show you, this handle user select. So when you select the user you want to share with, let's check what happens. This whole function is in a realm.write statement or a function call, and here is the block. First we check if that user and user ID is already in the contact list. This contact list is the list we get when we get the users usernames which the Colorset is shared with. And if it's not inside that, then we have to add it, so the username will be displayed, not the user ID. So we have to find it in the search user list, and if it's there, then update the contact list, so add the added user there. And then we go on. So if this is just a security check if the Colorset exists, otherwise we show some error. It can happen like when the user on another device deletes this and the Colorset no longer exists, so it's a valid use case, so that's why we show this error then. Then if the viewers exist, then we have a case, and the other one is when the viewers are not exist yet. That's the simpler one. If it's the case, then we just set the viewers to an array with the user ID. And since it's in the realm.write block, it will be automatically returned to the the database. And the other case is when the user is already there, then we create a new array with that IDs, and we check if the user is there in this viewer set or not. So first we check if it's included in the viewers, and if it's included, then we have to remove that user. So the Colorset.viewers will be equal to viewers.filter, and then we be allowed to stay in the array if that user ID is not equal to the user ID which is selected by the user. And the other case is that when we add the user to the set, the list of viewers. First, we have to check if the length of the viewers is less than 4. We have this restriction here, this limit. And if there are still spaces available, then we set the Colorset.viewers to we just spread the viewers and the user ID which is selected. And basically that's what this function does. Cool. I hope you enjoyed this workshop. It was nice to present it to you. And I hope you learned a lot from it. And now let me pass the ball to Bálint to finish the workshop.
Thank you very much. Guys, congratulations for this great workshop, and we hope that you could learn something new today and you managed to put together the working application. Who is ready with the application?
Oh, nice.
Okay, maybe should we dedicate a few minutes to fix, or
you want to eat?
Or both? Okay, yeah, we are bringing some fresh pizza and beer and set up the darts behind you. But in the meantime, feel free to ask some help and some questions to finalize your application. So we are here, and Tommy and Donny will help you. And thank you again to join us today. It's great to have such a large group focusing on software development and knowledge sharing. So congratulations guys again, and let's start the pizza and beer